what is up, mortals? It is Chara, zor-el, here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 14 of What If Izuku Was a Stand User. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. Alright, sports fans, I know you've all been itching to see this next match, so let's stop wasting time and get straight into it. First up, he's got offense, defense, and a dark shadow by his side. From the hero course, it's Fumikage Tokoyami! And his opponent, while he lacks a fashionable hairstyle, he more than makes up for it with his mysterious power that's totally not named after a Def Leppard or a Marilyn Manson song. Also from the hero course, it's Izuku Midoriya! Wait, what did he say about my hair? Izuku thought to himself before shrugging off the odd statement as he stared down his competitor. While Midoriya had very little knowledge of Tokoyami and his quirk, he was able to come up with a simplistic strategy for how to go up against him. Use Act 2's emotion-altering abilities to pacify Tokoyami as a threat, but to do this, he had to get past Dark Shadow, and Midoriya had no clue how his personal Jesus would fare against it. Hey, Ojiro, you paired up with Tokoyami during hero combat training a few weeks back, right? How do you think this fight will play out? Jiro asked the Tails student as everyone waited for the fight to start. I have no idea, Ojiro responded. Fumikage's quirk excels in dark places, but in a brightly lit area like this, I'm not certain. His dark shadow is powerful and versatile, but Midoriya has a technical advantage since his power is invisible. Honestly, I think whoever uses their strengths to the fullest will win this. Second match, begin! Go, Dark Shadow, he's mine! Izuku ran to Tokoyami and tried to get as close to him as possible. Personal Jesus, Act 2! Midoriya's stand shot out from his body, raising its shield to block Dark Shadow's blow as the shadowy figure took to the sky after grazing a hit on Act 2's shield. The figure went back for another attack, but the stand blocked the Shadow's assault as Izuku got closer to Tokoyami. Hey, what gives? Why can't I hit this guy? Dark Shadow muttered to himself. Get him, Act 2! Act 2 flung a barrage of punches on Dark Shadow, holding the creature back as Izuku moved in on Tokoyami to get within Act 2's 6-meter range and end the fight quick. Act 2, get over here! Dark Shadow, to me! Tokoyami's shadow escaped Act 2's punch barrage and returned to its master faster than Act 2 could react and got a direct hit on Midoriya, knocking him off his feet as the greenette stand returned to its master to block another one of Dark Shadow's punches. But it couldn't hold back the creature's strength as the shadow pushed through Act 2's block to get to Midoriya. But the greenette dodged the incoming attack as he got back to his feet. Act 2, fire your shockwave! Put Dark Shadow to sleep! Tokoyami panicked at Midoriya's command and quickly recalled the shadow back to him before Act 2 could fire its attack. Hey, what's the deal with this guy, Fumikage? I only got one decent hit on him. It's like he's got that Hagakure girl as a bodyguard or something. Stay alert, Dark Shadow. We don't know what he's planning. Izuku's stand slowly hovered to its master's side as Stand and Stand Master eyeballed their opponents. Midoriya, I regret to inform you that my abilities have no effect on the shadow menace before us. I attempted to alter its brain and remove its vision. However, this Dark Shadow doesn't have a physical brain to tamper with. I do not have a strategy on how to defeat the threat before us. So Dark Shadow can't be affected by my quirk? Midoriya thought in his head. I had a feeling that'd be the case. Well, the strategy hasn't changed. I have to get past Dark Shadow and get to Tokoyami. He's the main target. Midoriya charged Fumikage once again as Dark Shadow jousted the boy. Act 2's symbol ring spun around and locked into a symbol as Act 2 and Dark Shadow clashed. But Personal Jesus couldn't outpower Dark Shadow, and Midoriya received another blow to the body from the stalemate. However, Act 2 did connect a blow to Dark Shadow's head with its shield, keeping it back from Midoriya. Izuku repeatedly got back up and tried to get in close to Tokoyami, but Dark Shadow used its strength and speed to repeatedly counterattack Midoriya and knock him back. This cycle repeated for 2 minutes, eventually wearing down the forest-haired boy. However, Izuku could hear the humming sounds from his stand shield getting louder and giving off a higher pitch as the fight went on, which was when Tokoyami ordered Dark Shadow to go on the offensive. Let's finish this! Dark Shadow! The shadow creature attempted a flying strike on Midoriya to push him out of bounds. Personal Jesus blocked most of the blow, but Izuku faltered from the force of the hit. The greenette knew his opponent had the edge and needed to do something fast, or he was as good as eliminated. Dark Shadow flew in for another attack as Midoriya's stand blocked blow after blow, forcing Izuku to move across the arena, unable to properly concentrate on a plan as Dark Shadow herded Midoriya and his stand all over the battlefield. Eventually, Dark Shadow got past his stand as Izuku took a shot in the sternum, sending him back several meters as he was just several feet away from the edge. I think this is it, folks. I have no idea how the heck Izuku's lasted this long or how he's even fighting off Tokoyami's power, but this is looking like the end for Midoriya. Knock him out of bounds, Dark Shadow. It's over! Izuku, in a last-ditch effort, ordered his stand to attack Dark Shadow with a barrage of punches to hold off Tokoyami's quirk once more, as he needed to think of a strategy fast, as he didn't have much time. Oh man! I have no idea how Midoriya is doing it, but he's still fighting off Dark Shadow. But look at how close he is to the edge. One hit from Tokoyami and it's all over. If I were Midoriya, I'd think of something to get out of the jam he's in fast, or he's off to the elimination party. The vocal hero's commentary jogged an idea into the greenette's mind, one for thinking outside the box. Personal Jesus! Now! Put Dark Shadow to sleep! Dark Shadow, retreat! The sentient shadow returned to its master, giving Midoriya a good dozen meters of breathing room. Midoriya was now able to properly focus as he noticed Act 2's shield was humming at a very high-pitched frequency, one louder than he's ever heard it. It was like at a maximum charge. Midoriya, I already told you that I cannot tamper with Tokoyami's companion. Please give me a different order. Act 2 communicated. Izuku looked at his companion before slowly approaching Tokoyami, while out loud giving a demand to his stand. Act 2, get ready with your shockwave. As soon as Dark Shadow gets within range, use it and take him out of the fight. You can't mess up again. Midoriya, I already told you that I cannot tamper with the shadow. What are you? Act 2 then looked at the bird-headed opponent across the arena, as for the first time during the match, Tokoyami was actually backing up from Izuku. Ah, I see. You're using a form of reverse psychology to dupe Tokoyami into thinking that you'll use my power on his quirk, when in actuality, you can't. Clever. Izuku nodded at the stance analysis. However, your plan has a flaw, Midoriya. Tokoyami could very easily order Dark Shadow to attack once more. All this strategy is doing is buying you extra breathing room. Just be ready to use that power, Act 2. In his mind, Izuku was using his current strategy to improvise a new plan based on the attack pattern he witnessed from Fumikage. I just need to get close to Tokoyami. Just 6 meters. That's all I need, Izuku thought in his head. It's obvious I can't win this with a straight assault. Tokoyami's Dark Shadow is stronger and faster than my personal Jesus, and he can call it back instantaneously. But I have the advantage when it comes to invisibility. How can I utilize that? On the other side of the stage, Tokoyami was moving back from his opponent, worried that he'd be out of the fight if Midoriya got one move on him. Fumikage, what do I do? Dark Shadow asked his master. Should I go in for another attack? Tokoyami answered with a no, as he felt his shadow would fall prey to whatever Midoriya was planning. But then, Tokoyami thought to himself, does Midoriya actually have the power to defeat my Dark Shadow? He was struggling against the creature earlier, but now he seems confident he can win. How can this be? He tried to remember every hint he could think of about Midoriya's power and what he knew about it, thinking if he may have let out any weaknesses he could exploit. That's when he remembered what Midoriya said about his quirk on the bus ride to the USJ a few weeks back. So my quirk is that I can summon this ghost-like entity that can do any number of things for me. In a way, it's like Tokoyami's quirk where I can order it to do things for me, but unlike his, mine's invisible for whatever reason. It has this ability where when it latches onto a living thing, it can alter its brain activity. It doesn't work on animals, though. Only people. At first, it could only change a person's emotions and mental state, but recently it upgraded to a state where it can manipulate the senses in a person's body, like their vision, hearing, how sensitive their touch is, along with other sensory-related things in a person's body. So, his quirk alters brain activity, eh? Tokoyami thought in his head. Dark Shadow is just a sentient shadow that resides in my body. It has no physical brain to tamper with. And yet, he's approaching me, thinking he can use his power on my Dark Shadow to incapacitate it. If that's the case, either Midoriya doesn't know that his power won't work on Dark Shadow, or he's trying to trick me. Tokoyami stopped backing up as his forest-haired opponent continued moving towards him. Dark Shadow, get ready to use the covert Black Ops arms technique. It's time to end this. Dark Shadow retreated into Tokoyami's body, confusing Midoriya as he realized his opponent was now vulnerable, but Midoriya was cautious. Tokoyami wouldn't just leave himself open like this, unless he was trying something. Izuku moved Act 2 up as far as he could go before stopping about 6 meters from where he was standing. Okay, this is as far out as I can send Act 2, Izuku thought. If I move up on him, I should get within range and end the fight. Now, Dark Shadow! From the sleeves of Tokoyami's top spawned two large shadowy arms with massive hands extended several meters, taking Izuku by surprise as Fumikage ordered his quirk to grab Midoriya. Izuku made a dash to Tokoyami to get him with the stand, but Dark Shadow grabbed Midoriya and lifted him into the air before he could get within 6 meters. "He's got him!" Vlad commented. After 5 minutes of back and forth battling, Tokoyami seems to finally have Midoriya immobilized. This fight looks to be about over. "Great work, Dark Shadow. It's over." "No, not yet," Midoriya said as he was hoisted up by Dark Shadow's arms. "Personal Jesus! Use the shockwave on Tokoyami! Now!" Act 2 got as close as he could to Tokoyami, faced its shield towards him, and punched the back of the shield, sending a powerful shockwave of energy towards the Dark Shadow wielder, as the force of the wave seems to have made Tokoyami shake a little. "What on earth? What? Oh no! Dark Shadow! He did something to me! Throw him out of bounds, quick! I don't know what I don't..." Just then, Tokoyami's pupils began to dilate as he began to go silent and his body started trembling. The silence caught the attention of Dark Shadow as he asked what was wrong with Fumikage. The boy then fell to the ground and began to shake on the ground as Tokoyami began making grunting sounds as his body looked like it stiffened up and his arms were violently shaking. "Tokoyami, what's happening? What did that kid do to you? Don't touch him! He's having a seizure!" Midnight ran into the play space to check on Midoriya's opponent, who was still shaking and grunting on the floor, with Dark Shadow looming over its master in overwhelming worry. Everyone in the audience were looking in shock and confusion. Even Midoriya was upset as to what was happening and couldn't figure out how could this be. Izuku knows for a fact that Personal Jesus doesn't have the ability to give people seizures, or so he thought. Act 2, what the heck did you do to him?" Midoriya asked, to stand with guilt in his voice. I was going to alter the boy's vision and do the same thing I did to the Nomu we faced during the USJ attack. But this was not what I meant to do. I know I had the right symbol locked in before I fired. Unless... Act 2 then theorized something. "Midoriya, the shockwave I fired a moment ago was far more powerful than any other you've ordered me to unleash so far. The energy that was stored up in my shield felt like it was at my limit. I believe the power of my attack unintentionally overloaded the senses in Tokoyami's brain, causing him to have a seizure." Izuku became dismayed at what his stand told his master. He obviously wanted to beat Tokoyami and was aware that Fumikage told him to go all out, but even this was a bit much. He was going to ask his stand to undo the seizure it caused, but he rejected the action. Midoriya wasn't well educated when it came to seizures, and was fearful that if he had his stand prod around his brain in his current state, he'd cause some kind of permanent brain damage. So as difficult as it was to do, he stood there and hopefully waited out the seizure to end so that Recovery Girl could possibly help him. Midnight, after a few seconds, announced that Tokoyami could no longer continue and that Midoriya had advanced to the next round. Everyone couldn't believe what they witnessed and were even confused. "Well, this is an odd predicament," Vlad King commented. "Tokoyami seemed to have this fight in the bag at the end, but then he just broke out into a seizure. There's no way this could have been sheer coincidence on Midoriya's part. Just what the heck kind of quirk does this boy have? My students will have to be on a special kind of guard for that one." Within the minute, an automated gurney with 2 robots on the ends of each made its way into the arena to grab Tokoyami and bring him to Recovery Girl's office. All while Midoriya just stood there, not having a clue what to think. Eventually, Midnight came up to Izuku as she put a hand on Midoriya's guilt-riddled shoulder. "I want you to hold your head high, okay? You fought well, and Tokoyami's going to the nurse's office to get checked on. So don't worry, okay? You did good." Midnight returned to her place on the platform as Midoriya began to exit the arena. Excluding the students of Class 8 who mostly watched Midoriya leave in silence, rumors began spreading across the arena, the topic being just what kind of power that kid with the green hair has. As Izuku was out of the stadium's eyes, Midoriya made his way to Recovery Girl's office to check on Tokoyami and make sure he was okay. However, as soon as he was on his way to the nurse's office, he was stopped in the hallway by Masahiro Ojiro, who congratulated Izuku on his very close victory. As hard as it was for Izuku to accept the congrats given the circumstances, the Greenette thanked the boy for his words and asked the green-tailed student why he wasn't with the others. In a serious tone, he said to the boy, "Midoriya, I need to talk to you about the person you're facing in your next match." Midoriya and Ojiro spent the next few minutes talking in private about his quarterfinal opponent and to check on Tokoyami. While this was all happening, the third battle was about to get underway, and to the teachers of UA, the Hero Corps students, and most of the audience, this next match was the most highly anticipated fight of all the first round battles. Alright, sports fans, the third round is about to get underway, and whoo, baby, this should be a good one. First up from Hero Course A, it's Momo Yaoyorozu, and her opponent, Hero Course B's Setsuna Tokage. Both of these students were accepted into UA based on recommendation, which means these girls can bring the pain. Wait, that girl Momo's fighting got in on recommendation like she did? Jiro's out loud question was followed with the antagonistic laughter of Class B's Nato Monoma. That's right, losers, Monoma said, peeking over the wall dividing Hero Course A and B. Tokage is one of the best students in our class. She is smart and has an incredibly versatile quirk at her disposal. And when it comes to her fights, she can be a real naughty customer. How embarrassing would it be if one of the best students of Class B took down one of the best students of Class A? Especially since you type-As are supposed to be much better than us. Monoma laughed off his cynical comment right up until Kendo returned to her class with Reiko and Kinoko behind her, karate chopping the back of Monoma's head and knocking him out as she apologized for his behavior. Kendo! Oh man, I'm so sorry, Shota said to his fellow class rep. I theorized that Shinzo's quirk worked by him touching you. I had no idea it worked if you spoke to him. It's okay, Shota. I didn't understand why he was saying those things about you and our class earlier, but guess I just found out why the hard way. Just hope whoever he's fighting next gives it to him. Not a moment later, Vlad King announced the start of the match. Yaoyorozu, unsure of what quirk Tokage possessed, started the match simple with creating a sword and shield to fight with. Ooh, a sword and shield. So medieval. Green-haired girl rushed Yaoyorozu as she got into a defensive stance. Just then, Setsuna's arms detached from her body and flew towards Yaoyorozu, punching the girl in the face and gut as bits of Tokage's body began to swarm her, putting her on the defensive as she wasted little time forcing Yaoyorozu at a disadvantage. So this is her quirk, Momo thought in her head. She can disassemble her body parts and move the parts around freely. Yaoyorozu made a series of fishing nets to throw at her opponent's floating body parts, trapping them in fishing nets as Tokage analyzed Momo's actions as she tried to keep her distance. She's trying to trap my pieces one at a time. Okay, not bad, Setsuna thought in her head. I remember crossing paths with this girl during the UA recommendation test months before school started. Her quirk lets her create whatever she wants from her body. The material she needs to make the items she creates. She's gotta have a limit as to how much of it she's got. I don't know if I'm strong enough to knock her out of bounds. I think my best option is to force her to create enough stuff till her tank runs out of fuel, then go on the offensive from there. I just gotta keep her on the defensive and not let her trap me. The fight between Yaoyorozu and Tokage became a neck-and-neck endurance battle. No one had a clue as to who would come out on top as the girls spent the next 6 minutes trying to one-up each other. There were moments when Momo had the edge, others where Tokage briefly came on top, with both the girls' strategies changing as the fight went on. Everyone was at the edge of their seats, as this matchup definitely didn't disappoint. After about 7 minutes, the two girls began to grow weak. Yaoyorozu was beginning to run on fumes with her creation material, and Tokage was losing energy from all the body parts she regenerated when Yaoyorozu trapped her previous parts with nets and traps. Momo wanted to finish this fast, and in a last-ditch effort, created a Russian stacking doll to hurl at Tokage. But as Setsuna dodged the doll, it popped open, revealing a live stun grenade, firing off and disorienting the low-energy lizard girl. Yaoyorozu then used the last of her creation on a police-level stun gun to incapacitate Tokage. However, Momo was in a trap herself. Some of the body parts Tokage had around the field that Momo had trapped were still active and wiggled their way out of the traps Momo had set. As Momo aimed the stun gun at her opponent's vulnerable body, one of Tokage's previously trapped feet came flying towards Momo's direction, kicking her in the back of the head with her shoe, knocking her out cold before she could fire her stun gun. The black-haired girl fell to the ground, KO'd as Midnight declared Tokage the winner of the match, and the crowd began to cheer for the incredible fight they witnessed. Flat King, despite having a Class B bias, showed a great deal of respect for the fight Yaoyorozu put up against Tokage and congratulated both girls on a hard-fought battle. Yaoyorozu was brought out of the arena on a robot stretcher like the one used for Tokoyami due to her out-cold state, as Setsuna looked at the cheering crowd with a pointy smile across her face. Even Monoma had some thoughts to share about Setsuna's victory, as he once again peeked over the walls separating the two Hero Course classes. My, what a surprise! It looks like our precious Tokage took down one of your class's best students! so confident if I were you guys. This is just the beginning. As Tokage and the rest of us Class B students will show the world that our hero course is the superior! Monoma's condescending teasing was silenced by another chop to the head by Kendo as she dragged Monoma's unconscious body back to his seat. That guy seriously creeps me out, Riko said as she stared at Monoma's unconscious body. Yeah, he's got that effect on people. I have a feeling this won't be the last time I'll be on Monoma control duty today, Kendo said as she sat back down. On the other side of the wall, the thoughts of Class A students were all sharing silent thoughts about how much they disliked Neto's teasing, which was met with the sounds of Midoriya and Ojiro returning to the stands as the greenette let out a displeased groan, knowing he missed what might have been the best fight of the tournament. Oh, Midoriya! There you are. I was wondering where you were, Ida said to his friend as he sat down. Oh, yeah, me and Ojiro chatted for a bit after my fight. I then went to check on Tokoyami, but Recovery Girl told me to come back in about 10 minutes or so. Yeah, speaking of which, what the heck was that during the end of your match, man? Do you actually give Tokoyami a seizure? Since when could you do that? Kaminari asked with a bit of intimidation in his voice. Midoriya looked down at the ground as he nodded. I didn't mean to do it. I tried to inflict him with the same kind of status effect that I gave that bird-faced monster from the USJ attack. But the energy I had stored up during the fight with Tokoyami was too much. I ended up overloading his brain and unintentionally gave him a seizure. It was a mistake, though. I really didn't mean to do it. The nurse said he should be fine, but I'm going to head back to Recovery Girl's office in a bit to check on him. Till then, though, I have some notes to do. The greenette then pulled out his hero journal as he was ready to jot down notes on the next fight that followed. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Oh boy, I did not expect those matchups to end like that. Before you leave, we would like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing pleasures, and we also have a Patreon. Please check out our Patreon. That's how some of our projects are funded. Please, please, please check it out and fund us. Thanks! All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.